Hey, welcome everyone to a review of the Soundcore Life Q30 over-the-ear noise cancelling headphones. Now if you want to see the written version of this review, you can find a link to my website in the video description. So these are budget-friendly headphones and priced here in Canada they're $110, whereas in the United States they're priced at a nice $80. And despite that low price tag, here's some cool things about this, is that surprisingly it supports a wired and wireless connection. The wired connection uses a 3.5mm auxiliary cable, both ends of the cable are 3.5mm, and of course the connection to the headphones themselves for the auxiliary connects into the bottom of the right ear cup. And yes, you can use the headphones while the battery is dead using the wired auxiliary cable, although you cannot use them while they are charging. For wireless connectivity, it's using Bluetooth 5.0, which is a little on the older side, but I'm not concerned here. One, of course, is the budget, but most importantly is that the connection stability is pretty good. In fact, according to Soundcore's manual, it says that you can get about 49 feet of wireless range on these. I was able to get closer to about 35 feet by having my wireless source, like the computer is connected to, on the main level of my house, and I was walking around the basement where I'm in right now, and so with one ceiling in between, I was able to get about 35 feet. It does support dual connectivity, so if you have a computer connected as one device and a cell phone as another, you listen to content on your computer. When the cell phone rings, it'll pause and then automatically allow you to answer the phone, so it works splendid in that regard. In terms of how many devices you can keep in memory before having to pair them all over again, I couldn't find anything in the documentation or their website, but in my testing I was able to get 4 devices in memory, which is pretty good. It also supports NFC fast wireless pair charging, so for example, if you have an Android device that does support an NFC chip, you can just simply tap and it'll connect and pair quickly. For accessories, I'm very pleased to say, but also surprised that there is a hard traveling case included in the box, despite the low price tag. Also included in the box is the auxiliary cable I mentioned about earlier, which is measuring at roughly 50 inches, as well as a USB-A to USB-C cable. Unfortunately, it's not pure USB-C, and that cable is measuring about 12 inches. There is no power adapter included in the box, but that's pretty typical for most headphone manufacturers. So you gotta connect it directly to your computer, for example, which is I typically do, or use maybe your power adapter from your cell phone as an alternative to plug it into a power outlet. The Q30's appearance is well done, as it retains a single color throughout most of the design, with a shade off color in the headband, so it's a slightly off color of their main headphone color. And despite some of the visible contours in the frame and small buttons that are also visible, the Soundcore logo being a standout color gives the design a nice touch in my opinion. The Q30 that you see here is available in black that I'm using, and it's also available in midnight blue and sakura pink. The body does have a folding design, which typically in most cases makes the body a little weak in the frame, except here, despite the price tag, it's really well constructed and strong. Thanks to that, it's probably because it weighs a decent 265 grams, so a decent amount of materials was used to construct the body. I highly doubt they're dust and water resistant though, for 2 reasons. One is that the water resistance devices listed on the Soundcore website, the Q30 is not there. Also, under the operations FAQ of the Q30 product page, it's a bit of a tongue twister, it has instructions on how to dry them safely if it does come into contact with any liquid whatsoever. They're very comfortable to wear for several hours in a row. Yes, several hours. In one session, I think I sat about 4.5 hours with these. Never got irritated, ears never got hot or sweaty, nothing of the sort. Even when testing them with glasses, they're still very comfortable to wear. Never felt any irritation with the frame poking into my head. Now, if you want to use them for working out, it's completely up to you. I mean, they're budget-friendly headphones, but I don't recommend them either because, well, they're over-the-ear headphones. You're gonna sweat a lot, so they're not gonna be very comfortable, even if it's short workout. I personally recommend that you avoid it, but it's really up to you. So going back to how the comfort is achieved, the first, of course, is the headband. It's not too tight. As you can see, it's pretty loose, it's not too bad. And of course, helping with that comfort as well is the soft cushioning of the ear cups, really soft and thick, as well as the headband cushioning, which is extremely thick, surprisingly. Again, at this budget, no material was spared. But also very soft for people with next to no hair or, well, probably no hair at all. The headband adjustment is done in notches and the ear cup rotation can go up, down, forward, and back. Very versatile, so it can use on a variety of head shapes and ear shapes. Surprisingly, if you're looking for official ear cup replacement units, you can buy them from the Soundcore website. And with that said, you can also buy them from third-party vendors as well. When resting on your neck, if you're out and about, looking left and right, it's not that comfortable, and looking down either because the ear cups are too big and a little narrow here on the neck. But if you were to fold them down, looking left and right is much easier, as well as looking down, and it doesn't dig into my neck either. Switching over to controls, on the left ear cup there's a button for powering on and off, and holding this button also activates Bluetooth pairing mode. There's another button for ANC, which is active noise cancelling, and pressing that button will also activate transparency mode, which allows you to hear your surroundings. It'll project surrounding noise into the microphone so you can hear them easily in the ear cups, which I'll talk about shortly. And regular headphone mode as well is activated through that same button. So even though you have the ANC toggle switch button, oddly enough, on the right ear cup, if you press and hold it for 2 seconds, it'll switch between A and C modes. The problem here is that it's annoying. When you're, picking up or putting down the headphones, what I notice is that, you naturally touch the ear cup, it'll switch to A and C mode or normal mode or transparency mode. It's a little annoying, and you can't even turn it off in the app. There's no function to turn off that touch control. It's annoying because you also have a physical button that does the job just the same, actually better because it doesn't switch accidentally. Switching over to the right ear cup, there's a button for play pause music, which is also used to answer or hang up a call. Holding that same button will activate the smart assistant of your device. In my testing, I used Google Assistant with Android and it worked fairly well. Then of course there's a button to increase volume. Holding it will go to the next track, and a button for volume down, which will go to the previous track. For some bizarre reason, the play pause button is placed lower than the volume down button. So frequently when I'm wanting to repeat a track I really like listening to, I'll press and hold the button thinking it's volume down, except it's play pause. So I'll just pause the music. I'm waiting for it to kind of pick up the pace on the music, only to realize I paused by accident. It's a pretty poor button layout. There's no side tone available, which isn't surprising at this price budget. Side tone, basically what it does is project the noise into the ear cups, kind of like transparency mode, except you can hear what it's like for the other person on the other end of your call. So if it's a really noisy environment, you're more likely to hear what they're going to hear. You can also hear your own voice if maybe you're talking too loud or too softly. Unfortunately, that feature isn't available. Not a big deal. Another feature that's not available, but not surprising at this price point, is autoplay pause. So when you have the headphones on, content is playing, take off the headphones, it'll automatically pause, put them back on, it'll automatically resume. Not available, but again, not surprising or disappointing at this price point. Active noise canceling, so it performs pretty good at this budget. So low frequency sounds like say the engine of a bus or a car, it'll do fairly well at canceling out most of it. Again, these are budget friendly, don't expect the best performance. If you want to take it on a plane, because a lot of people don't talk on a plane, it can perform okay, but the engine from the engine noise, the turbine on the flap of the wing of the, I don't know, plane parts, whatever. So you get what I'm trying to say. That noise will come in through, and you'll have to blast up the volume quite a bit to hear what's being said. If you listen to say a podcast, whatever, it can be done. It's just you have to blast it up quite a bit. Similar situation on a bus, the engine will be suppressed significantly. But you have the opposite problem where you have a lot of vocals and a lot of people talking potentially on public transportation. That noise, vocals, comes through quite a bit. That's not surprising for budget-friendly headphones, but I just want to make that very clear. But can you use this on public transportation with a lot of people talking if you're listening to podcasts or news? Yeah, again, you just have to blast the volume quite a bit. Transparency mode to hear your surroundings performed a lot better than I anticipated, to be honest. I was really impressed. So I can actually hear things pretty well from anything about 15 feet away. So it actually performs better than most headphones that are mid-tier price, so almost double the price. Really surprised. And it sounded clear enough to make conversations. You can walk around, talk to people if your audio is paused. It does not bad. Here's the weird thing about these headphones. They're over the ear and the ear cup cushioning is rather thick. Now you would think that when you switch to regular headphone mode, so no ANC, no transparency, just simple headphone mode, you would think that naturally a lot of noise would be suppressed from the cushioning itself, except it doesn't. Low frequency sounds, like again, the engine noise of a car, it'll do not bad. Vocals come through very easily. It's very bizarre. I've been sitting in a room with people just talking to one another, talking normally, not too loud, and I can hear out everything. I can make out exactly what they're saying. It's not clear, it's still muffled, but I can tell exactly what they're saying. Is that a concern? Not really. You would usually want regular headphone mode to conserve battery and make it last longer. The battery is superb on here. You're probably never going to need regular headphone mode, which brings us to the next point. Battery performance. So Soundcore claims at about 60% volume for ANC and transparency mode, each type of technology usage will average about 40 hours of usage. In my testing at 50% volumes, so instead of 60 as Soundcore, I average for ANC and transparency mode 55 hours, which is incredible. That's not the surprising part. The surprising part really is regular headphone mode. So again, at 60% volume with no ANC or transparency mode, Soundcore claims to get about 60 hours of battery usage. In my testing, I got 80.5 hours at 50% volume. I'm not kidding you. It's crazy. It took me forever to drain the batteries on this, and that's what I achieved. Soundcore claims it'll take about 2 hours to recharge these headphones, but in my testing, connecting directly to a computer, I averaged closer to an hour and 40 minutes. Incredible battery performance for a really quick recharge time. You'll probably be hard pressed to ever drain these. The USB-C charging port is located on the bottom of the left ear cup. Okay, so all audio that you hear right now is from the Q30 microphone in a quiet setting. What I'm going to do is switch over to replicating a noisy environment through my camera microphone so you can hear how noisy it really is. And in that same replicated noisy environment, switch over to the Q30 to see if you can suppress a lot of the surrounding noise. And then lastly we're going to do is replicate a windy setting. Okay, so we're replicating a noisy environment with the camera microphone, so it sounds pretty awful. Now switching over to the Q30 microphone, you can get an idea for yourself whether you think it suppresses a lot of the background noise or not. I'm actually stop talking for a few seconds so you can hear the background noise if it comes through. Now lastly, I'm replicating a windy setting with the fan sitting about 5 feet away from me. Just moving in various directions so we can get some of the wind noise to come in through the microphone. So in terms of audio quality, it does support SBC and AAC, no aptX, which also shouldn't be surprising because again, it supports Bluetooth 5.0. So going back about the connection stability, I didn't really notice any latency issues with my computer or cell phone. The audio has performed pretty well. So again, despite it being Bluetooth 5.0, there's no real concern here. And again, they're budget-friendly headphones. So in terms of general audio quality out of the box, it performs fairly well at this price point. There's a lot more focus on bass, which I'm not complaining, I'm a bass enthusiast. But for those of you that aren't or weren't expecting bass performance out of this, yeah, you're gonna get a real big kick. The performance on lows on this is incredible. Of course, you can just lower it in the app equalizer, which I'll cover shortly, if the bass is too much and you're looking at these headphones. Now, when it comes to equalizer adjustment, increasing the bass, it'll get rumbling. There are certain songs that just perform amazing with these headphones, and surprising how cheap these are. Especially songs like Last Memory by Takeoff. The audio performance is incredible. Just when that bass hits every so often, it's a joy for me. So when you increase the bass on songs that are bass-centric, bass-focused, it doesn't distort or warp the audio. It always sounds crystal clear. So that's great. Here's the weird thing. Songs that are not bass-focused and you increase it up, it kind of makes the audio vocals muffled a little bit. So the person who's singing, rapping, whatever it may be, there's not a lot of bass happening in that song. You can still hear exactly what they're saying. It's just you notice the quality goes down on the vocals ever so slightly. It's kind of weird. When it comes to vocals, when you increase it up, it's strange because vocals will stand out. They sound clear, they're not ruined, but the rest of the sounds a little warped. It's not going to ruin the song entirely, but you will notice that the sound, it kind of degrades ever so slightly in all other areas except for vocals. When it comes to increasing highs, no concerns here. It performs kind of like bass, where when you increase it up, it gets really sharp. There's no distortion to the rest of the audio, performs fantastic. So what about sound quality when wearing glasses? So vocals and highs, whether it's out of the box or increasing it in the app, sounds okay, it's not bad. The problem here is bass. It doesn't matter if it's out of the box or increase it in the app, you will lose a lot of performance on the bass. And that's just a typical thing with almost every headphones I review, is because the glasses frame will poke out of the cushioning here, and that's where a lot of the bass will leak out. So it's not like it ruins the song, but for those of you who are bass enthusiasts, you're not going to want to get these headphones or probably any over-the-ear headphones for that matter. The last thing to cover is the app, and it's very minimalistic, but it gets the job done given the price point. So let's dive into it. The first thing you'll see is ambient sound, which is normal. That basically means regular headphone mode. Of course, you have transparency, noise cancellation mode, or you can just use it by toggling through the physical button. You don't have to do it here, but it's up to you. Equalizer, you have, say, custom, which is your custom equalizer. You can adjust accordingly as you wish to, and then reset it back if you want to, and you can create profiles here. And then you have default sound signatures, which is actually just pre-made templates. So you can go through various ones if you want to, and choose that if that's more to your liking. Superior Sleep, what it'll just basically do is play some ambient type of noise in the background. So maybe rainfall, birds chirping, campfire sounds. It works pretty well. It's a pretty cool feature. I personally don't use it, but I can see how a lot of people would definitely like to have that built in. And of course, going to the main system settings menu on the top right, there's nothing really here. The most important thing arguably is the firmware updates and a quick start guide, which is kind of like a built-in manual, and that's pretty much it. So simple, but honestly effective given the price point. So the Q30 is a pretty tough contender when it comes to budget-friendly headphones, although it does have some weird nuances. It's nothing that's going to ruin the product by any means. It's still something you definitely want to consider for ANC, bass performance. Generally, it's just a good product you might want to think about getting if you're looking for that budget-friendly option. And again, like I said, you can take it on various transportation means, whether it be public transportation or in a plane. Of course, you just have to amp up the volume depending on what kind of surrounding noise you have. But that's pretty much a wrap for this review. So if you found this video useful, be sure to check my social links and website link in the video description. Hit the like button, it does help, subscribe, and thanks for watching.